Here's what it is. We think that we're superior to other animals, yet we think, oh, we've got all this technology. We're just using it to just destroy ourselves. Like how many animals, that's more what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
How many animals start their day like wiping, hell-bent on wiping themselves out. Like they have enough brains and smarts and intuition that they want to survive. Like we're just letting this happen to us, all for the sake of money, power, crazy.
Yeah.
Apathy, indifference.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but we're doing it.
Yeah. Maybe we're not meant to be, we're just not going to survive it. Like we're extincting ourselves is what we're doing. No animal goes out of its way to extinct itself, but the human animal.
Mm-hmm.
So we just let it happen.
I'm Colin Burrows, and this is the Woodstein Media Podcast, Episode 18. This podcast is produced on the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Anishinaabe, and Odawa peoples. In this episode, I talked to Sue Spahr to find out what the Wishbone Animal Rights Lab in Toronto is, and we discuss some of the ideas and actions being incubated in this space on Bay Street. Alec Bossy also makes a few comments throughout the conversation. Check out the links in the description to learn more about the topics we discuss, and, as usual, you'll find links to support the musicians played on this episode. This podcast and Woodstein Media are independently produced journalism that you can support through Patreon or by donating through PayPal at woodstein.ca. That's WOOD-STEIN.ca. Thanks for your interest and support. If you enjoy this podcast, you can support it by listening to more episodes and liking, sharing, subscribing, or reviewing them. This is very helpful and appreciated. Thanks. I'm kicking this episode off with a song by Subhumans called Evolution. It's a ripping little British punk song that got me thinking about animals back when I was in public school, probably in the 1980s. Enjoy.
Well, I think it's true that some animals appeal to people more than others do. Puppies and young rabbits.
And the garden has a little white rabbit. I remember I told you a clean little rabbit. You wash your hair to keep it clean. You get the one who opposes green. And get a back to silent animal scream. And the garden has a little white dog. Something in your eyes like a burning fire. It's trying to tell you you won't go blind. Animals kill for the good of mankind. You smell the fire. When they find the cure, you choke. When the cats have died of smoke, they say the animals go for the road. The countries who they look so tame, and the science that remove their brain. Just think the man involved in this beat. The last 70's down from the trees. The animals who run, leave the blood.
Let's find out about you first. Who are you and how do you want to be known?
I guess I've always my world revolves around animals, and it always has, ever since I was a toddler. I was that, kid who, if somebody was stepping on, I was a quiet kid, but if I saw an injustice, and especially where animals were concerned, if somebody was stepping on ants or swatting flies, I'd go ballistic, right? And ever since I was really small, I was wishing, every time I saw a shooting star or on my birthday cake, I would blow out the candles and I'd make this same wish. I wish that people would stop hurting animals. That was my wish. I've slightly refined it now. I've added a few things, but the thing is, I was also making that same wish on a turkey wishbone, which is like this total disconnect. So always sticking up for animals. And I mean, you grew up in roughly the same area as myself, so you understand it's just a lot of animal agriculture, mink ranches, puppy mills, hunters, fishermen, like that's the way it is there. So thankfully I was wired to not feel like I've always kind of gone against the grain, and it's never bothered me to be an outsider. That doesn't bother me at all. So it was when I was in grade 9, they were having, my biology teacher was going to be dissecting on animals, and I'm like, nope, that's not happening. And I went to him, and it actually, what I said to him did resonate with him, because he's like, well, they're dead anyway. I said, yeah, but how did they get dead? And I said also that's so disrespectful. You would not treat a human that way, so why would we do that to an animal? And I said, besides, it's just a bunch of school kids, like this is just a joke to them. It's nothing, they're not taking it seriously anyway. So that then led me to start, because I thought, I didn't know that this was a thing, right? So I started doing my research, and of course that was pre-internet days. So I started learning about the bear bile industry, vivisection, fur industry, like all things that I didn't know anything about. And I, as a kid, I didn't make the connection. January 1986, I made the complete plunge. I saw a viewing of the Animals film, and that was it, like a hardcore activist then. So I was 19 at the time. But how I want to be known is just somebody who's always, it doesn't matter, I will always be there for animals. I have a wicked sense of humor and sometimes a dark sense of humor, silly, whatever. I've got a crazy sense of humor. You cannot joke about animals around me at all. It's just, no, that's not funny.
In there, you were talking about the area we grew up in, and it's
horses and buggies.
Yeah, and everything is geared towards, most of it's geared towards the meat industry out there.
Yeah, well, there's some form of people's livelihoods are based on animal exploitation and harm. It doesn't matter where you are. I mean, if you're not, like you say, the meat industry, if you're not a farmer, you're someone who's working at the Packers plant or the slaughterhouse or.
Well, even a lot of the agriculture that's done out there that looks like it's not for the meat industry, a lot of it is it's things that are being grown to feed animals and not us.
That's right.
In that area, well, I guess everywhere.
That's the truth. I mean, if we were to carve out this middleman, which would be all these animals whom we're fattening up to feed humans, I mean, we could feed our 8 billion, it's making the planet groan, so.
No, I wouldn't give up meat.
And if 30 million people a year are dying of hunger or of hunger-related diseases?
No, I still wouldn't give up meat.
While people starve elsewhere, 9/10 of the grain grown in the United States is fed to animals so that we can eat meat.
The result is that we feed pigs better than many third world countries feed people.
A lot of them should get enough food, shouldn't they? What do they spend their money on?
If they starve, innit? It's up to them. It's the way they put their selves, innit?
Feathers burn so easily, the cat is blinded in the garden. Lost vision, the lark is late. The cat cattle shed gives off the smell of Sunday kitchen, the gentle eye, indispensable perfection. Before the flush take 2 weeks' food, all the sacks on earth and hide. All of us here know it, we grew it, fighting amongst ourselves, leaving bits of flesh on barbed wire, and blood on the floor. Knocks and bells across the door, burst in polish and gold. Children meet each other in the garden, failure to accept the end. Push it to the edge, push it to the edge. This is no retrogression, posing death. I am of grateful beauty. When I see the fist, the perfect hand that turns against itself, the perfect hand that holds a gun or wields a butcher's blade or leads to death. Leads to death the used up bull, incarcerates the hopeless fool, or takes the forest with a single flame. Is the nest an empty shell? Humankind condemns the hunting beast, yet their own choice leaves behind such ragged meat. The military dream of blood, their sweet wine flowing in the veins of men who work towards our bloody end. They fly Enola gaily, with them who is waiting, waiting. Give us the reality of our hatred. Give the earth nothing. Melting, goats dead on the green. Dying lambs bleating by the wire. 3 last days on the earth. I lay down to die in grass.
From Christ the album, that was Crass with Sentiment, White Feathers. Check the description for more information about getting more music from Crass.
Who am I? I am Sue Spahr
Perfect.
from Mount Forest, Ontario, formerly of Mount Forest, Ontario. There.
And I'm still from Listowel, Ontario.
There you go. I love Listowel, actually. That was a big town compared to...
And it's getting even bigger. It's growing like...
I know.
See, now.
There aren't fewer of us on this planet, are there? Unfortunately.
No.
You know what I am? I am an earthling. That's who I am.
There you go.
I'm just another earthling, just like, you know, all these different species around us, including plants, whatever. So that's who I am.
Now let's talk about
the lab.
The Wishbone Animal Rights Lab. First of all, how did it get started?
I've been an activist since I was 14 years old, and before that, you know, not really a formal activist. And I just feel like as humans, you know, we procrastinate or we find excuses not to do things and blah, blah, blah. So I thought I just want to remove all the barriers that I can so that people, if they said, well, I can't afford to whatever, buy equipment that I, you know, say somebody wanted to do something innovative by like projecting a laser message onto a building, you know, something like, you know, animal agriculture causes pandemics or something like that, right? Because that can be very powerful. But, you know, who can afford to just run out and buy a piece of equipment like that? Or just people, they've got the creative juice, they've got the motivation, but they don't have the skills or the know-how. You know, they want to say even something as simple as writing a letter to the editor or whatever. They're not comfortable writing, they don't know where to begin or whatever. So have people in and give people insight on what would get you published, let's say. So just breaking down these barriers so that anyone who wants to do something for animals can have everything free to do it. And of course, like we went through COVID for two and a bit years, and that changed a lot of people. Like the Toronto animal rights scene was thriving. It was, I mean, people would come from other cities or comment, like, it was just crazy how active we were. And just COVID came along and like, that was it. It just dried up. I mean, people, it changed their routines. They couldn't go out on the streets and gather. You know, that's a lot of what, you know, I mean, we do all different kinds of activism, but most people think of the stereotypical activism of standing on a street corner with holding a sign and, you know, yelling at people. I mean, some of that we do, of course. So that, of course, dried up. We couldn't gather just to even have strategy meetings or anything like that. Zoom became a thing, but I just felt like we needed to get back in the same room with one another again, and I felt like that helps people vibe more, and we all speak our same language, and I don't mean the same language, I mean the vegan language, you know, and we come together for this common, you know, caring or respect of animals and our planet. So
with the way that gatherings had to stop and things went Zoom, you kind of had to know about them beforehand, or you just choose not to attend that online meeting.
Yeah.
So there was a big difference in activism, because you could just end up meeting people on the street who were very passionate about something and could introduce you to new ideas, but that was a lot harder to do when it came to Zoom meetings. Zoom meetings didn't just appear on the street in front of you.
That's right.
So
you had to actually kind of seek it out.
Exactly. So is it going back? Has there been a lot more over the last maybe few months? Have you been getting back out on the streets much?
Oh, for sure. And I think, yeah, like people are ripe for the picking again. And what happened was a lot of people, just by introducing everyone to this common space, like the physical space itself, which it's more than that, of course, but I'm finding that people are saying, you know, they were a lapsed activist. Now they're saying, I want to get back into it, you know, because they're seeing their friends again and they're just seeing what we're offering here for them, and it's getting them excited, so they want to get back in. And we've also had people with the, well, we're not, the public for this one isn't our target. I mean, not within these four walls, it's not, but it's the ultimate target. But we are public welcoming, so people can come in and, you know, see attend a workshop, or, you know, they could, even if they wanted, we could set up chairs and they could watch any kind of filming that we're doing here. We're going to screen documentaries. So I've had people come in who aren't vegan, and they see just the signage in here, and they realize that this space itself, anywhere else you go, veganism is always the option, right? But here it's the default and not the vegan option, right? So they come in, they're immersed in that, and they've expressed saying, you know, I really want to give this a whirl. Or somebody who has lapsed, they want to get back into it. So it's been a catalyst for that as well.
I wanted to talk more, or get you to really kind of emphasize and say what the goal is of the Wishbone Lab. Like,
you want me to get like really big goal? Because big goal, it's going to be to, you know, make veganism the default, not the option, right? I mean, I'm not saying that veganism, you have to feel that in your heart. Like, I'm not saying like I'm, you know, want to turn people into vegans, because it just that you can't really force someone to feel a certain way, but I want our society to be set up so that, you know, we just leave animals alone. But yeah, just in general, I just want to see vegan be the default.
Okay. So I know just from where I live, you come up to someone with a big, grand idea like that, And they're so used to the way they've been raised, and
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of peer pressure in small towns, right?
There is.
You don't want to be that person who's sticking your neck out. And I think humans are herd animals to begin with. And there's safety in our numbers, right? In being with the rest of the crowd. And then when you're the guy who sticks his head out, well then, sticks your head out the door, then you're the one who gets. I think we just all it just makes us feel better to be with like-minded people. And if you have these different kind of ideas, you keep quiet about it because you don't want to be that one who's kind of the freak. So that's another thing. One of the programs we're going to do through here is called Small Town Vegan. Okay. So it's getting out into these small towns and just connecting with people who do feel the same way as we do, and just introducing other people to food. I mean, you have to start with food. That's the thing, right? Because it's just everybody eats and it's such a part of our day, right? So, and
a lot of the other areas, you're often surprised to find out about how animal products are used in other ways, and you don't even think about it. You think
yeah, I mean, the ink in this pen could have been tested on an animal, let's say, or there might be some kind of a thickener in it that came from an animal, like to make it's like you don't know what the ingredients of the ink are. It's as simple, like every single thing we touch seems to harm animals in some way. So it does seem like a huge issue. It seems overwhelming, but we'll get there.
You talked about the big overarching goal. Do you want to just talk about some of the small goals or small ways people can get involved, in small ways you're connecting with the public here?
Yeah, like I said, the public is welcome to come in. So we're going to be holding documentary screenings here I can't wait to have his punk rock vegan movie. I'm really looking for that's Moby's.
I saw that recently.
I loved it. Yeah. So anybody who loved that scene they're going to be attracted to it right away, right? So, and just we had someone come in and talk about how we can be better guardians for dogs, right? So things like that, things that we all can kind of agree on, that's more geared towards the public. And I want to really get people, get their creative juice flowing and feel like anything they come up with, we can deliver it, So if they, want to do some kind of a production, like an animation or whatever, we can, get that out there. If they want to take a laser cube and like I said, project words onto a building, we can deliver that. So I think a lot of people, like just the general public, just like you say, doesn't realize these things are happening, or we're all willfully ignorant in some ways. We're cognitively dissonant, we're solution averse. So if we just kind of saturate the airwaves and the print waves and the streets with all of this anti-speciesist, vegan-friendly content, I think it'll just be a natural, organic change in people, And then they'll start to see, once things start to tip the other way, then they want to be in with that crowd, right? Like then when they start to see that enough people are going vegan, or they're being more caring towards animals or whatever, and our planet, they will just automatically want to gravitate towards that. At least I hope.
Yeah.
Human nature being human nature. Like you're drawn to
it always seems like there's some people who also want to dig in their heels with everything. And sometimes
you got to pick your battles sometimes,
right?
Pluck that low-hanging fruit first and get your numbers up, and then, start to kind of widen your scope, I suppose.
Yeah, because, we're seeing that when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, where people are really moving with certain things. They've really opened up to the LGBT part of it, but they're fighting the trans part of it.
I
And
know, it's amazing how they, and the thing is, I think it started to, once corporations got involved and they knew that they could kind of, lack of a better term, gay wash their things. Like you see Gay Pride Parade here in Toronto, TD Bank is a huge corporate sponsor and that kind of thing. So anywhere where they feel like they can make a few bucks or they can get in good with the public, they're gonna go for it.
When you don't want to feed the world, when you just want to feed your bank balance, wash your guilt away. Unilever washers whiter, soap to clean those dirty hands, and a slap for the people who walk the land. Unilever, man-made hunger, soap in our eyes. John West is the best, also popular. No soap reality, legal slave trade, domestic skills, all nonsense dead. Soap to wash the darkest stain, profit covers up the pain of a slow, deliberate genocide, and all the dirt you want to hide. Take the black and wash it whiter. Rub the not soap, blue and bird's eye, Lifebuoy sunsilk, Persil washes whiter. We make whitewash, we sell whitewash, consume whitewash, consumed by whitewash. Unilever, man-made hunger, soap in our eyes. John West is the best, also deliberate genocide. No soap reality, legal slave trade, domestic skills, all nonsense dead. Whitewash. Buy it. Somewhere in this cycle there's me and you. What are we prepared to do? Somewhere in this cycle there's me and you. What are we prepared to do? Somewhere in this cycle there's me and you. What are we prepared to do? Somewhere in this cycle there's me and you. What are we prepared to do? Somewhere in this cycle there's me and you. What are we prepared to do? Somewhere in this cycle there's me and you. What are we prepared to do? Somewhere in this cycle there's me and you. What are we prepared to do? Somewhere in this cycle there's me and you. What are we prepared to do?
Okay, the full title of this album is quite a mouthful. From Pictures of Starving Children Sell Records, Starvation, Charity, and Rock and Roll Lies and Traditions by Chumbawamba. That was Unilever. You offer a lot of equipment to people. You offer, people the ability to do their...
Welcome to Toronto.
Yeah. That's what Listwell's sounding like now. It's kind of interesting, but that's a whole different story. I was talking about what you offer as far as equipment and ability to do podcasts. And
kind of a high level thing is just, someone if they want to do their own podcast, as long as it is something that's pro-animal, right? It doesn't have to, like for instance, if someone wants to do, is looking at doing a camping podcast, right? But they're vegans, and so we know that they're not going to be talking about, shining up the crossbow and things like that. So just give vegans the edge, right? Because everybody has their community, right? And that used to kind of bother me. I think, they're only helping themselves. And then I thought, I'm getting in on this too then. So yeah, we offer just like what we're doing right now. This is being filmed, and then the editing will be done afterwards. So we actually offer the services of doing that for people. We can teach them how to do it themselves. I need to be taught myself as well. I haven't had a little tutorial yet with Alec either. The podcast room is going to be soundproofed and everything. So, and then we do, like you say, have the equipment lending library. So just whatever you can dream up as far as something out on the streets and you can't afford that piece of equipment, we probably have it.
How did you get this all together? Was it donations or? Partially,
yeah. A good chunk of it. Alec donated a lot of the recording equipment for sure. Street activism, different groups had done crowdfundings or whatever and bought that piece of equipment, but then it's just sitting in someone's house or whatever, so we thought it's good to have it in one central location. And another thing we're going to do is we name the equipment, give it an actual name. So if somebody donates it, as part of kind of, just so we know the origins of it, to keep better track of it, and we think if it has a name, like a cute name, people will take better care of it maybe, and it's also just a way of thanking that person. Like, how we're small scales, like somebody donates a bunch of money, they get a hospital wing named after them. Here, you might get a GoPro named after you. So even the plants that are in here, we have Pia and Margot over there, right? And our 3 megaphones are Agnes, Jeter, and Penny, so, it's a bit silly, but it's just something just to kind of help it stand out a little and, make people, maybe encourage someone to donate some equipment and then they get to name it,
Okay. And I noticed on the website, it seemed like it might be a long-term goal, but this is headquarters, and there was talk about satellite locations.
This is, I suppose we could look at this as a pilot project. Just so what I'm going to be doing is kind of doing all of the leg work or grunt work of putting this together, keeping track of the steps we took, and ironing out the wrinkles, tweaking it, adjusting, and then more or less packaging it up and making it available to anyone, so that way they don't have to reinvent the wheel. We've done the work. Again, because that people procrastinate. If something seems overwhelming or big, or they just don't have the time, they're gonna, not be as quick to do it or not bother. So this way we just look at this here, and they can just go, blah, and they do it, right? So just give them advice and that sort of thing. It's going to be the same thing with these different campaigns that we're working on, like the Small Town Vegan campaign. Okay, well, what's that all about? So I'm just going to come up with the ideas and run the campaign, kind of vet it, again, tweak things, and anything that the person needs to run this campaign in their town or city or whatever, it's right there. So we did this thing before called Eating Animals Causes Pandemics. So we ended up getting countries all over the world. I think it was something like 60 cities across the world, all doing this same action on the same day. But we made it possible for them to do that because they just went to a website, unzipped something, and there was the audio, voiceover, scripts, graphics, everything. So it was just like a one-stop shop. They could just do it.
In that, you were talking about the small town vegan campaign. Is there any other campaigns that you have that you want to talk about that
they're all up here. And now, you know what, but saying that right now, I can't think of those. There's one I've called I'm crazy, I love clever wordplay, but this one is not all that clever, but Urban Animal. So it's like URB and then a capital A animal, so like urban animal. So kind of the particular challenges that animals in an urban center might face, like from the only thing I can think of right now is, you know how when I know, there's no water, you know, like where do they go to get water? Like I know up in Newmarket that you see these great big parking lots and these animals, like there are no trees or anything like that. So to try to encourage businesses to put out water for them would be one aspect of that. Here in the city, this is going to sound awful, but you know, if you see vomit on the street, for instance, it could be full of drugs and booze and whatever, and then you've got pigeons eating that. Like somebody actually told me that their dog ate and got really, really sick because there was heroin in it. So, you know, just thinking of things like that. I can't think of other campaigns that I've got on the back burner. I have a list like you wouldn't believe. So.
Animal First Aid Kits.
What's that? The rescue trunks? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, okay. Yeah, we have these rescue trunks, so we're going to compile them either through people donating the materials or, you know, donating money and we buy the materials, and mostly secondhand because we want to make sure that we're being environmental as well. And what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be contacting these different wildlife rehabbers and getting tips from them. So it's going to be just doing a workshop here on the various ways we can help wild animals. You know, if you see somebody lying on the side of the road who's injured, you know, you can have a plan of action for that. And you're going to have your rescue trunk, which might have gloves or a little shovel, you know, to take a turtle across the road. There'll be tips like with turtles, you always take them the direction they're going, you know, that kind of thing. But to have these actual rehabbers come in, like say from Shades of Hope and different ones, and talk about how we can help certain, you know, all different species of animals. Like even something I do, which it might seem silly to people, but it's important to me. I always carry a little bit of water with me because if you see a worm drying out on the sidewalk, you can take them off the sidewalk, give them a little, you know, moisten them up a little and put them in the dirt and, you know, they'll survive then. But...
Okay.
Inside of me
Velveeta and Wonder Bread with extra Miracle Whip and side of tater tots, please.
That was Supermarket Nightmare by Victim's Family from the album White Bread Blues, which was recorded in Vancouver with John Wright of No Means No producing. You're talking about this, it's kind of a hub because you're talking about different people from different organizations using it, and you may not be able to speak to everything that those organizations do themselves, but can you talk about some of the organizations that do use this space?
Jeez, I could just go around the wall and just read off the signs, but yeah, something I'm finding is, you know, human nature is to be competitive even when you're working towards the same goal. But I'm finding with different people coming together from different groups, they're collaborating, they're talking about, hey, let's do this together, and, you know, joining things up. So, I mean, plant-based treaty, Toronto Pig Save, Toronto Health Save, Toronto Cow Save, Climate Save, Animal Save, Compassion on the Streets, Plant-Based Revolution, Plant-Based World Media. Oh my God, I'd have to stand up and start looking at all the signs on the wall, but yeah, it's just bringing these groups together, and it seems to be just kind of sparking some innovation in them, like, oh, how can we, you know, and like, whereas before I feel like things were a little on the competitive side.
As you said, you've only been open a few months now.
Officially opened March, I think it was 24th or something, or March 17th, something like that, so.
Okay. Do you feel there's been good support for the lab, and are people starting to take notice? Is it?
Oh, yeah, and well, you would, I mean, come to an event, you'll see what I mean, but yeah, they're always very well attended, and at first we were getting, people didn't want to say, I was getting pushback about the name, okay?
Okay, because I found that was an interesting choice when I was...
It's, well, basically it started because of my own personal experience. Like, that to me was symbolic of what I said before about wishing on, you know, 11:11 on the clock, or a birthday candle, or a shooting star, but then, and to be wishing for, you know, that animals be kept safe, that people stop hurting animals, and then to be wishing on a turkey wishbone and feeling overjoyed that, snap, I won and my wish is going to come true. It just, like, it's, the cognitive dissonance is just ridiculous. And then I think using an obviously animal exploitative name, which is the body part of a tortured being, and practice, snapping their bone, it's meant to highlight and symbolize, like, the casual speciesism that's just so prevalent in our society. We just don't even realize we're doing these things to animals, that it's like we're all in denial or something like that. It's just so commonplace that you don't realize it. And it was a means, like, I mean, my thing isn't about wanting to, I just want to be able to capture the attention of non-vegans as well, right? That's what's important to me. I'm not interested in preaching to the choir. This space is meant to, you know, facilitate activists, but to get that message, that vegan message, catapulted out into the mainstream, I'm worried, I want to get their attention, right? So I'm hoping that it's going to give them pause for thought and even spark discussion of these concepts. And you know, some organizations never get asked about their name, so it's an opportunity to bring the name, you know, to have the conversation and to, you know, stay kind of relevant.
You were saying, well, come out to an event. How can people find out more about events, actions? Where can people go for that information?
Can I say one more thing about the name?
Sure. Yeah.
People do feel uncomfortable about the name, but they should. I think that that's the proper response, right? So if you feel a little bit, it's like, yeah, you should. So, well, I mean, social media is the main thing. So we have our Instagram. It's kind of a common theme. Everything's Wishbone AR Lab. So on Instagram, Facebook would say Wishbone Animal Rights Lab. Our website, wishbonearlab.ca. It's been word of mouth too. And I mean, you set up an event on Facebook and you, of course, invite people and they come out. And like I said, it has been a lot of word of mouth as well. We have been doing a lot of events, but I want to get more into workshops and trainings and that sort of thing. But this is good for now. It's organically getting people interested in the place. And they're coming up with their own ideas, too, of what they'd like. I mean, one young woman, she approached us. We want to be incubating these different ideas as well. Like this one young woman wants to start up an animal rights micronation. So she's got an idea. I don't exactly know what she's got planned, but she's got it all and she's going to talk to us about that. Another young fellow is a Dungeons and Dragons enthusiast, and so he has started something called vegan D&D. Okay. And so coming up with all the storylines. So you might be, you know, rescuing a griffin from, you know, a cage or so. I don't know a lot about it, but it's a really interesting concept, and it kind of makes you have to try to hit all these different niches, right? I mean, that's an untapped frontier right there. The gaming community, they thought they were safe from the vegans, but now they're not.
I mean, when I was playing Dungeons and Dragons when I was younger, the whole it's interesting, but it was always something where it seemed like it wasn't exactly compatible because you were swinging swords at beasts and all that, and I mean, you were doing the opposite of what vegans are talking about doing.
Well, they're going to, I mean, it's still going to be exciting and adventurous, and there's going to be great storylines to it, but it's just going to have that underlying, you know, animal-friendly message to it. Yeah. And it's certainly not going to be all sweet and syrupy. It's nothing like that. And I actually sat down and I'd never played it in my life, right? But we were asked to present to Climate Healers VCOP, their VCOP 13, Bursting Through the Dam of Denial was the theme. But it was like the story was excellent. Okay. And you had to think critically about how to best, you know, in this case, it was all of these baby dragons were, you know, trapped in a facility and they were being bred and sold and that kind of thing. So it's meant to get the issues out there, but in a way that resonates with different, you know, different parts of the population, right? So the gaming community, they might really go for that. So.
Hey, Ivory.
Yeah, Jonathan.
You're vegan, right?
Yes, that's right, I am.
Can I ask you some questions then?
Sure, man. Of course you can.
Are you ready for the questions then?
What are you waiting for?
Where do you get your protein? Protein, protein. Only meat has protein, so where do you get your protein?
Actually, lots of things have protein. Beans have
Where do you get your calcium? Only milk has calcium. Healthy bones from cows, milk, calcium, I drink it, yum.
Lots of plants have calcium and lots of calcium. And cholesterol, well, they have none of the fat found in milk.
Calcium, no fat? Greens give me calcium? What about our ancestors? Didn't they eat meat? If I wasn't supposed to eat it, then why do I have these teeth?
Do your teeth look like a carnivore's, all sharp and pointy like? No, you gotta cook your meat over a roaring firelight. Furthermore, all carnivores act on instinct, but humans make choices they consider and they think. If humans of old ate meat, it was a choice, not a necessity.
Well, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, we have these choices.
If everyone were vegan, what about all the cows and all the gajillion chickens that are living on farms now?
If everyone were vegan, it wouldn't happen overnight. Demand would just decline, and so would the supply.
Isn't vegan food just bland and gross?
No, it's yummier than most.
You care about animals more, you do?
I care about animals, people too.
Aren't vegan men weak and girly?
I find vegan men quite sexy.
B12, so they're haha.
B12's for bacteria.
Where do you get your protein?
Plants.
Where do you get calcium?
Plants.
Where do you get your iron?
Plants.
Where do you get your zinc?
Plants.
Where do you get your protein?
Plants.
Where do you get calcium?
Plants.
Where do you get your iron?
Plants.
Where do you get your zinc?
Plants.
Hey, Ivory,
Yeah, Jonathan.
I think I get it now.
You do?
Yeah, it's all about plants.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. Glad we cleared it up.
Me too. Let's have a snack.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he's still doing it, but Jonathan Mann was writing a song a day. And in his 3rd year of doing that, he wrote the informative Vegan Myths Debunked. To sum it up some, for people who do hear it and want to get involved, and I know that you've mentioned the social media and the website and things like that, but what would you suggest for someone who hears it and goes, yeah, I want to get involved with that, and how can they do that? And
they could certainly reach out to us through email, and that would be Wishbone AR. Currently, it's just wishbonearlab@gmail.com. We are setting up our at wishbonearlab.ca, but we haven't got that far yet. Okay. There is a phone number. You want me to
come visit us?
Oh yeah, I'm getting to that. Yeah. So where veganism is the default, not the option. So we are located at 600 Bay Street in Toronto, Suite 305. Our hours that we're open, where we're actually staffed, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Thursdays to Sundays. Outside of that, if somebody wants to drop in or has an event they want to hold or whatever, we're happy to accommodate, right? We're all working stiffs, and so this is a passion project. A lot of it is self-funded, but we are starting to get some donations, and it's completely volunteer driven, so that's the other thing. Our telephone number, 647-904-5285. And when you call, it's Vish answering the phone. So I did want to just talk about Vish. Vish is our ambassador of anti-speciesism. So you can see that his clavicle has been snapped or broken. But like with anything in life, if a seed gets planted, something good can grow out of it. So this is bright green hope growing out of this. So the people snapping wishbones one day may go vegan the next. That's kind of the premise that we go on. So, we don't know where we are in our percentage of how close we are to just wanting to give up contributing or supporting these animal harming industries or animal exploiting industries. So, you might come in here and you're 70% of the way, and it's just been through different experiences you've had, or the way you're naturally wired or whatever. So you don't know if that thing that you say is going to move the needle for someone 5% or if it's going to move it 30%. So I feel very confident no matter where you are on that spectrum. You know, if you're just given the truth, which I think if you use humor and creativity, art and repetition, of course, it definitely helps people. It lowers their defenses and allows them to be a little more receptive about the information they're receiving. So helps them swallow those unpalatable truths, right? So you can get away with a lot through humor, right? So Vish will be, he's a little bit saucy, and he can, you know, it's easier to listen to these things coming from a cute little cartoon being than me to sit there and tell someone something. Like, they're right away, well, I'm not listening to this, but Vish is saying it, it's like, oh, maybe. But yeah, we really want to tap into people's creative juice here, because I think that that's just so important, and to deliver the message, like, so that we're resonating with a much wider swath of the population, right? You know, because there's no one method fits all way of reaching people, right? Okay. Everybody, like, different strokes for different folks. Everybody, you know, one person might react favorably to someone holding up a sign and yelling in their face. But another, you know, other people
tend to react against that.
Exactly. So we want to just find just deliver things and have not an approach where we're just throwing the plate of spaghetti against the wall and hoping something sticks. Like, being, you know, thoughtful about it. And
you were talking about the creative side of things in there, and the walls here in the lab are full of great art that reflects the ideas behind.
Yeah, and I mean, not, of course, it's not, you know, people might think, oh, it's just going to be all lovely and sweet and everything. Sure, we have some of that. That's, of course, but it runs, again, across the spectrum. So some people will react well to, I mean, we have Melinda Hegedus here, who, her stuff is very, it's clever and it's pointed. But some of it is very sweet, actually, too. Like, the piece that I love is that little guy at the top there who has there's the roast chicken on his plate, and then you see him in the thought bubble hugging a chicken, and he's very sad. But then, you know, she's got some other stuff that's people would see themselves in that and maybe get defensive, right?
These are the foods that I don't eat. Bacon, chicken wings, ground turkey, sirloin steak, lamb chops, smoked ham, fried chicken, sweet and sour ribs, shrimp ring, caviar, female bacon, maple bacon, back bacon, chicken liver, chicken feet, chicken beef, beef tongue, oxtail, lamb kidney. Don't eat 'em! and it helps with my mood a lot.
That was an alternate recording of Mall Crimes, Foods I Don't Eat, from the compilation Guitars for Girls, Volume 1. You have a great selection, I'm not sure whether we mentioned it, of books and information.
Yeah, our resource center. Yeah, I think it's around 400 books at the moment. A lot of it's from my own personal library, but then we were very fortunate to receive either just donated to us or a deep discount from the former Toronto Vegetarian Association, now known as VegTO. We also received some, like a beautiful treasure trove that for me, as an old school animal activist, I, for years, was carting boxes of pamphlets around and articles and old magazines. I finally, after so many moves, and then they finally got all moldy in an outdoor garage, so I had to say goodbye, and it broke my heart. But a woman living in St. Catharines, Kath Enns, she's an activist from back in the day and was big into Animal Liberation Front, ALF. And she gave us, 3 big boxes full of stuff like that. So we have some rare titles. We have a lot of resources that, you wouldn't find anywhere else. And most of them are available for loan, like lending, just like out of a library, especially if we have multiple titles. But some of them, I'm a little bit afraid to let them out the door yet. So they would be in-lab viewing only.
I'm not sure how I'll get it in there, but over in that area, there's also, we were talking
Memory wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to pay tribute to people, really great animal activists, but they have passed away. So it was just a way of remembering them, holding them in our hearts still. One of them was actually someone who was run over while at a pig vigil. So bearing witness, and she was run over by one of the slaughter trucks. So Regan Russell.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that story.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it hit close to home because it was kind of close to home for you. That's where the driver was from. Was kind of that area.
Okay.
Up that way. I don't want to say who it is or anything like that.
I know things have gone through court and been resolved in a way, but
I'd say way unsatisfactory to activists, but it resolved the way it resolved. So I mean, people can continue on from there and appeal or whatever you do, but in our resource center as well, we do have a lot of stickers and pamphlets, flyers, just information that we encourage people to distribute on the streets, and it's all free, of course. We've actually been offered by PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. Ingrid Newkirk, who is the head honcho there, she said that she would supply us with whatever we needed in that regard, so that's nice.
Okay, yeah.
That's a nice little connection, and she's a great lady. She is full of fun. Like she's a character. She's got something called once she dies, she's donating her body so that people. One of the things that she's offering is that something called Newkirk Nuggets, and so they can take pieces of her body. It's a joke. It's not, but it's like she's just saying that she's willing her body. People give their bodies to science. She's saying, well, I'm giving my body, and it's to just put the spotlight on the different ways we do things to animals. But she's saying, well, I'm a human. I'm no different. And so you can use this to eat. You can use this as leather. You can, things like that. It's but anyway. I don't know. I couldn't have a Newkirk nugget now, even though it's. I haven't eaten meat since January 1986, so I don't think, even if I knew that it was, given with her consent, I don't want to be gnawing on body parts anymore.
I know it's hard to make that leap that especially growing up where we did. It's you're among many people I know who have been able to dedicate their lives to animals and been long-time vegans or vegetarians.
Well, I think, I mean, a lot of people I know came at it through music, you know, so if they were into punk back in the day or whatever, that was something that, you know.
One of my friends who has been solidly at least vegetarian, vegan for quite a bit of the time, he heard Stations of the Cross, and like that day he stopped eating meat. It was like bands.
They have a lot of influence, you know? So, and if you're saying, you know, I think something that we all kind of maybe feel a little bit guilty, you know, when you see something horrible happening to an animal, your instinct for most people is to want to help them, right? So to know that we're paying for all of this stuff going on behind the scenes, and then it's just kind of pushed right in your view, then you go, I feel a little uncomfortable about this. And so it feels good to be in line with your ethics, I think. You know, we were all born, most of us, I guess you could say, with a lot of empathy. Like, I don't know a child who doesn't love animals, right? And it's just kind of indoctrinated out of you, you know?
Yeah, or that you can love that type of animal, but don't love that.
That's right,
That one's food only.
And whereas they both feel the very same things, right? It's just the little boxes we've put them in. I mean, a pig feels the same as a dog, you know, when they're suffering or afraid or happy. So
a number of years ago, maybe 20 years ago, my wife and I were raising our kids on a farm. It was a farm that was still in use. We were in like a very vegetarian period in our lives. We saw the pigs on that farm get sick at one point, and there was it was hard to look at. We had to see it every day for a while because we were living there. You can't just move out like that. But there was this huge pile of pigs that died. We don't know what they died of, but it was...
Well, the thing is, it cuts into their bottom line to provide veterinary care. This is, and as long as you provide the carcass, you get your insurance, right? So there's there's no financial incentive for them to do anything for them, you know, which that's not how I'm wired.
No,
that's for sure. And the thing is, if people would just realize that, even, I mean, leaving aside all the other ways in which we exploit and harm animals, even if you just focus on the food side of things, even if you don't care about animal suffering, or you don't care about the environmental impacts, like you figure we're like bringing into existence and killing 70 billion land animals a year. Never mind the trillions of fish. They don't even count, or marine animals, they don't even count them in numbers. It's more like tonnage, right? And they're so commodified that they're not even individuals, right? Like, it's such a huge number of them. But think of all that waste just going into our waterways and our soils. It's causing, you know, ocean dead zones. It changes our climate. The methane that's being, you know, put up into the atmosphere. And then these animals are given antibiotics to keep them alive as long, like up until slaughter time. It's not because it's a worry about illness. It's just to, you know, so they make it to the slaughterhouse. And we're going to end up, if it's not climate change that takes us out, it's going to be antibiotic resistance, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't even eat animals. I don't eat any kind of, you know, animal product at all. But it's in the soil, it's in the water, and so I'm going to be impacted as well. I don't know what to the same degree, but still, you know. So people, if they, like I say, don't care about animals, don't care about the planet, but they care about their own health, then, I mean...
Well, I know that from being a diabetic. I have to use so much less insulin when I'm eating healthy and eating...
Yeah.
And people have told me, well, you don't have to shoot much insulin if you eat meat, but that's not true at all, I found.
Yeah, case in point here, he knows. Yeah.
But they say it like, well, there's not a lot of sugars in there, there's not a lot of carbohydrates, but it causes so many other issues.
Inflammation is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, our bodies are just full of inflammation from eating animal products, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're clogging up our arteries and everything.
Yep.
You know, yeah, it's insane. I've had this electrical issue with my heart since I was young, right? Mm-hmm. And I go to the cardiologist, and he's, you know, always saying things like, oh, well, you know, you have to be careful of, you know, not clogging up your arteries because later in life that's going to... I said, well, I'm vegan. He's like, don't even worry about it then. That's so he gets it, right? And of course, like, he'll say things like, oh, it's okay to, you know, eat steak a couple of times a week. And I'll say, well, would you say the same thing about cigarettes? I said, like, you're clogging the arteries. Like, he said, well, it's too difficult for people to make the change. I say, well, giving up smoking is as well, but you would give them that advice, right? So people just, when you start messing with their food, they just really dig in, right?
They do.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, when it's their livelihood, and they don't want to believe that what they're doing is...
For sure, and you know, so that's where maybe we should be getting, you know, I work with different groups who are, they're trying to get laws changed, they're getting programs in with the government to help transition. Say somebody's in animal agriculture and that's all they know, they don't want to be in this, it maybe goes against their grain as a person, but they don't see a way out, they have to pay their bills, whatever. To try to get our government to transition people into other forms, you know, growing plants for human, pea protein is a huge thing, you know, for like the plant-based meat market for one thing. So, you know, that's one example where...
Since we're on this topic, there's other examples of the way that we, like my property now, I'm in town, but we've put raised garden beds out front. We grow a huge portion of the food we eat. And that, especially when I
all
see...
that trucking, avoiding plastic,
avoiding
saving
the cost at grocery stores right now. But we have a neighbor who's very much... He's like one of those people who grooms his lawn.
I live in suburbia, I get you. And we are not suburban types, my husband. Well, look at us. You know? But I get you. That's all, but that's their passion. These are people, I find that so many people, they don't have a cause or a passion in their life. It's all about material things, consumer, like they're consumer driven. Mm-hmm. They're all about, you know, that next shiny object, or, you know, not just keeping up with the Joneses, but like beating the Joneses, you know. We have to have the best lawn and the nicest vehicle, and so these are things that don't matter to me. So it's hard for me to get these people. I just don't get it. Like, why do you care? Like, there are so many big things going on in the world, and I'm not talking just about animals. Like, you know, I care about any vulnerable person, or of course our Earth, right? It's like, that's what you care about, you know? Oh, not perfect. Oh, let me get my razor and that's a perfect line on my, you know, edging.
Yes, he did that just last week.
God.
I didn't know what he was doing.
What's with the razor, buddy? what's going on out there? Wow, I know. It's like, and it makes you feel a little bit discouraged, frustrated, but discouraged. Yeah. Like when you see that that's all that people care about is they're so just selfish, I suppose, you know.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's just not how I am, so I don't know.
To sum up then, is there anything else you want people or need people to know right now that you'd like to sum up with?
Just don't be afraid what other people think. Just do the right thing, you know. We're in a crisis right now. Like I said, if even you don't care about animals, all right, that's fine. We're destroying our home. And we are we are like a parasite on this planet. And am I allowed to swear?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
This is, I think we're the only species who happily just shits where they sleep, you know, and shits where they eat, you know, knowing like we don't have to do that, right? We are destroying our home. Like think of someone coming into your living room and just like trashing it, right? You'd be like, what? We're killing ourselves. And
you're wrong though.
Lots of animals shit where they sleep.
I have one cat.
Or shit where they eat. No, I suppose lots of species do, but here's what it is. We think that we're superior to other animals, yet we think, oh, we've got all this technology. We're just using it to just destroy ourselves. Like how many animals, that's more what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
How many animals start their day like wiping, you know, hell-bent on wiping themselves out. Like they have enough brains and smarts and intuition that they want to survive. Like we're just letting this happen to us, you know, all for the sake of money, power. Crazy. Yeah. Apathy, indifference.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but we're doing it.
Yeah. Maybe we're not meant to be, you know, we're just not going to survive it. Like we're extincting ourselves is what we're doing. No animal goes out of its way to extinct itself, but the human animal. So we just let it happen.
Okay. Well, I think that's
words to live by.
Or hopefully.
Yeah.
If you turn it around, we don't have to go that way.
We don't have a lot of time, but we still have some time. But I think it's happening much more quickly than they thought it would, because it just exponentially is getting worse and worse and worse.
Headlines all went mad. Courtesy sensation. BSC's by panic in a big meat-eating nation. They told us beef was safe, then told us not to eat it. Got banned from exportation, but not from the supermarkets. Before someone else died, but the people, they all cried. We need our meat and the money it makes. You can't get a better bit of profit on your plate. Frightening to see how money and tradition can override the facts and force a position. Now stickers in four-wheel vehicles say I'm proud to eat beef instead of my other cars polluting as well. So much that it's fucking up the food chain hell. What's that taste? It's animal waste. The look on your face says, what's that smell? It's a stink of dead flesh. It's a Sunday best. And other sacred cows, but they've all gone back now. Will you be pretty bad too? If what happened to cows happened to you, having your children taken away, forced to stand in a penny's day, fed the shit from other dead things, then chopped to bits. We all suggest that you go vegetarian.
We started with Subhumans and ended with another band fronted by Dick Lucas. That was Sacred Cows by Citizen Fish. Thanks for listening, and thanks to Sue for the interview. And for Alec for popping in every once in a while. Check the description wherever you are listening to this for links to more information about veganism, animal rights, and other topics we discussed in this episode. Or visit woodstein.ca. That's WOOD-STEIN.ca. You can support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/ColinBurrows. Like, share, comment, follow, and support Woodstein Media and this podcast, and have a wonderful day.